Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal back with a new thoughts, analysis, and rant. Let's see what we are going to talk about. But nope, we are going, well, I'm going to talk about the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 5 or Part 5 or version 5 and giving you my thoughts, analysis, and rant. So this past week, Sony has announced the new successor to the Sony Xperia 1. They're calling it the version 5 or Sony Xperia 1V. Many call it Sony Xperia 1 Voltron. Well, in any case, let me get to my thoughts on this. Let me give you what I think of this. This is just like the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV. Honestly, there's not much major change here. That's because looking at the reviews, the videos, it still heats up after 20 to 30 minutes of 4K recording footage, depending on the temperature outside or in your room or wherever you are in the world. So give or take, let's say 4K footage or 4K recording with 20 minutes to 40 minutes, it heats up and then it suddenly shuts off. It does give you a warning that it's heating up, which is good. Any notification is always great. Certainly this has a 4K display, but honestly in the end this is just one of those phones that it's going to be talked about in technical terms, but for the general population it's not going to be successful. If you are a blogger or you're a video creator content, this phone is a benefit, but then again this is a phone first, not a video device. So in the end, in terms of market share, in terms of notoriety, in terms of popularity, this is not going to change. It's going to be the same old thing such as the Mark IV. So let's get to the specs. It has 5G, 4G LTE. It has a dual SIM or eSIM depending on the model. It does have a micro SD. Thank you very much. It has a 1644 by 3840 pixels, which is pretty good. 12 gigs of RAM. It comes with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Yes, generation 2. That's the SM8550AB. Again, it has 12 gigs of RAM. In terms of the model, it comes with 256 of 12 gigs of RAM or 512 gigs or 12 gigs of RAM. In terms of size, it's actually a couple millimeters shorter than the previous Mark IV of the Xperia 1. It comes with the Gorilla Victus 2 and also has an aluminum frame all around it. The screen is OLED, which is pretty cool. Screen size is 6.5 inch. Screen comes with Android 30 out of the box. Onto the main event, which is the camera. 3 cameras. 48 megapixels f1.9 with OIS, and then 12 megapixels f2.3 85 millimeters. That's the telephoto with a phase detection autofocus. It also has in that lens also has a 3.5 to 5.2 optical zoom with OIS. Wow, unbelievable of a camera. And then last but not least, the ultra wide 12 megapixels f2.2 16 millimeter with phase detect but no OIS. As for the front camera, it has a single 12 megapixels f2.0 24 millimeter but no OIS. Unbelievable, right? Well, in any case, it can shoot 4K up to 120 frames per second and then 1080 up to 120 frames per second. It has a EIS and OIS depending on the resolution. And then Bluetooth 5.2. It comes with a headphone jack. Yes, the 3.5 millimeter, which is 24-bit. And then USB-C 3.2 with video output, which is pretty cool. The Battery is 5,000 milliamps, which is pretty cool. Charging is wireless, also reverse wireless, and 30 watts. And then the price will be around $1,400 to $1,600 depending on the model and depending on the country. So those are the specs. As for the analysis in terms of market share, it's not going to move market share. Is it going to gain customers? I don't think so. I think for those enthusiasts, for those who like to be technical, they'll probably buy this. Same with the Mark IV. If you're a digital creator content, if you're a director or love videos or love recording videos, I think especially if you have a Sony Alpha camera, I think this is beneficial because now you don't have to have a separate screen. This can be your screen and your modem, which is pretty cool. It can display histogram. It has focus peaking. In this camera, yes, it has a focus peaking, which is pretty cool if you're doing pro or manual mode. And then the only thing is just the price. The price is gonna hurt. As much as I love Sony for keeping the headphone jack, it has focus peaking, it has 5,000 milliamps, it has cinema mode, it has a optical zoom lens for let's just say $1,500. That's gonna be tough to swallow. I mean, it's not affordable. The design hasn't changed. But you know, Sony, it's going to tax you with that Sony branding. So, I mean, again, it's not going to be very popular with the general population compared to the iPhone and the Galaxies and also the Huawei's of the world or the Chinese phones. So it's going to be tough. As of right now, there's only two companies that is reigning supreme in the phone world, Samsung and Apple. That's it. But for Sony to come in, I mean, like I said, this is going to be a very tough position for Sony to be in, because as they continue to do this, especially with the pricing, I mean, people are going to ask, what will this, I mean, this phone, what will this phone have that the Galaxies will not have or the iPhones will not have? I mean, it all comes down to the video creator modes. That's it. Other than that, in terms of texting, photos, calls, I mean, it doesn't really change much. I mean, if you are an audiophile, then yeah, you should get this. But again, at $1,500, I might as well tell you that you should just get the Xperia 5 Mark 5. So, again, it's not going to move market share. It's not going to gain any popularity contest. It's not going to be as big. I mean, Sony has to do something here, because I'm not saying I'm concerned, but if it's going to be the same old thing, it's not going to change much. On to my rant. So number one is the price. I don't care if it received expertise from the Sony Alpha camera division. I don't care if it has optical zoom. I mean, at $1,500, I mean, I might as well get a foldable. It has greater advantage. The only greater advantage this has is the camera. That's about it. And why did it take so long for focus peaking to be available? Focus peaking was available on the S22 Ultra of the Samsung phones. Another rant is that it all comes in three dull colors: green, black, and cream. Really? Where's the red? Where's the yellow? Where's the blue? Heck, I mean, why not navy blue? But why green? I mean, is green suddenly the next big color out there? And then, in terms of availability, and normally I don't put this on my rant, but availability, it's becoming a problem here. You have to buy this unlocked over Amazon. You can't go to Best Buy. You can't go to your local retailer. You can't. It's really hard to get this phone. And this phone is going to be available in June, which is next month. But again, it's going to be very hard to find. And then lastly is my rant. Is not the phone itself, but more of the Sony marketing and engineers, is that ask yourself, If you're really gonna buy this phone over the Samsung, in terms of Android, when Samsung's availability is just right there, you can check it out, you can see it in action. Other than the camera itself or the video content, what advantage did this have? I mean, there's the audio file, but again, what advantage did this have? Like, where is the innovative, the motivational Sony that I've known a long time ago? Seriously, where is that? Because it seems to me this is lacking. Now, I'm not saying this is not a good phone, but I just don't see the cutting edge of the Sony expertise that I normally see in terms of electronics. Again, other than the camera itself, I don't see any advantage of this compared to the Samsung. I'm not sure if you know, but the S23 Ultra has focus peaking. It has Pro mode. I mean, it has, I think, 50 megapixels camera. So, again, I mean, other than the video camera expertise that Sony's known for, what advantage does it have? And at $1,500, I mean, I might as well get the Samsung S23 Ultra, and that one comes with a pen. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure if Sony is even motivated to be the cutting edge. And look, if this was $1,100, man, this would be a great competition for the Ultra or even the iPhone Pro Max. As you can tell, I didn't have a lot to rant about, but it all comes down to the Sony marketing and just the Sony engineering themselves. But this concludes the thoughts, analysis, and rant of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. And what do you think of this phone? Do you think this is going to be a great phone? Do you think this is going to gain some market share or even people? Is this going to sell out? I mean, tell me. What do you think? But for me, it's probably going to be the same as the Mark IV. And so that basically it for this thoughts, analysis, and rant of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. I will see you in the next thoughts, analysis, and rant. Bye-bye.